The Hash It Out Show is brought to you by Barreto Home Solutions, Bayou Audio and Video, Hot Works on the North Shore, JFK Martial Arts in Mandeville and Covington, Black Hawk Hauling, Lil Dizzy's Cafe, Wags Food and Culture, Moe's Pizza, The Green Law Firm, Personal Injury Attorney, Drums Earwear.
Hands up, hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move. Clear my area, move. Clear my area, move. Clear my area, move. Clear my area. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. 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 Hands up, hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move. Clear my area, move. Clear my area, move. Clear my area, move. Clear my area. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning.
Welcome to the Hash It Out Show. I'm your host, JB, your sports guy. Thank you for tuning in. We got a good show for you all tonight. Plan right now is to have our two guests as they get ready for a big-time rivalry game this Friday night. That's Coach Zephaniah Powell of the Amite Warriors and Coach Jonathan Foster of the Kentwood Kangaroos. I'm joined by my two co-hosts that you can catch on CrescentCitySports.com. Right next to me, the one and only VK Jones. What's up, VK Jones? What's going on?
Nah, ragging on me already, man. I know. We all balled up in here, man. Like, tag, share, subscribe to the Hash It Out Show on all social media platforms. We definitely appreciate you joining us tonight. We're reviewing the end of week 4. Now we're going into week 5, and also go back and check out our interview on FanView on Facebook, on FanView Live on New Orleans Talk Network on YouTube. So check it out. Me and Jared JB had a great time doing the interview. We also mentioned George in the interview and stuff. Everything was real great to collaborate with those guys. But regardless of the fact, we got a good show for you tonight and tomorrow. So let's get it going.
Also joining us, my main man, GP George Peppers. What's up, George Peppers?
What's up, JB? And since you mentioned VK's bald head, that's actually the West Bank version of Mr. Clean, right? I mean, the cleaner. Just since we're ragging, and look, it's all love. But listen, week 5 forthcoming. I can't believe I'm saying this with a straight face, but we're already almost halfway through this prep football season. Seems like we just got started, and then before you know it, we're gonna be in the New Orleans in the Caesars Superdome. In what fashion? As far as brackets, we have no clue. Get a clue, LHSA. Get it fixed. Let's get some stability here. But yeah, we do have a good show tonight. And the fact that we partook in a lot of football games together this weekend was a highlight. And so we'll do it again, obviously, when the go around happens. But it's good to be with y'all again tonight.
It's always good, man. It's always good. Let's get right to it. We wait for the coaches to come on. Let's get right to it. A couple of ball games that one that we attended, and two, one that we heard about that one person did say that team would win, and the other two said that We're going to start off with Lafayette Christian and Ruston. Ruston wins 29-26. DeJuan Johnson, worst ever, throwing 5 interceptions. Ladies and gentlemen, when you turn the ball over 5 times, more than likely you will not win a football game. I see exceptions to the Atlanta Falcons, and the Saints lost a football game. Now, to be honest with you, not to discredit anything from Ruston, because they deserve this win. DeJuan Johnson doesn't commit 5 turnovers. Lafayette Christian probably wins this game. They probably win it. And the fact that the touchdowns got called back in the game to where they scored, I would say Lafayette Christian would have won this game. But let's not take away anything from Ruston. 5 turnovers is a major feat in itself. Major feat. Josh Bradley looking very good as a quarterback for Ruston. He's 6'5". Man, he can throw the ball. And Ruston's defense to hold Lafayette Christian to 26 points, that's a darn good thing. Don't you say, GP?
I don't doubt it. Let's not forget. Let me add this nugget into it. Lafayette Christian was at Ruston's 10 late on and couldn't close the deal. They were aggressive, going for the W, and couldn't get there. And again, I'm not going to discredit Ruston at all. I think they played a courageous football game. They had a hellacious game. Exactly. They had a great game plan. And the question you ask yourself going forward against Lafayette Christian, any team playing them, and look, they've got some big tests coming, Westgate, St. Thomas More, and of the like. Has Ruston done something schematically, VK, to maybe put a blueprint together on not so much, you're not going to stop Lafayette Christian. 26 points is slowing him down. Stopping him is holding him under 20. Has Ruston put together a blueprint, or the Bearcats just that matchup where LC had problems, and this is a one-off?
Well, this was like the matchup, could have went maybe either way, but at the same time, Ruston, you had to really think, like, they know how good Lafayette Christian is. They know how good they are, and they're not afraid. But this was probably maybe the biggest test. They faced some tests, but this is Lafayette Christian, maybe the biggest test they have ever faced in their history. Because you go on the road against a team that has, went to the state finals last year, had a lot of experience that returned. And then on top of that, they're looking at film. They're seeing it. They're seeing how good Lafayette Christian is. And then on top of that, they're saying, like, the defense had a lot of pride. And you could tell, more than anything else, it was like, okay, these people can score over 50, 60 games. What we going to do to stop that? What we need to do to stop that? And what the defense did was play no fear type of football. They put pressure on Johnson. They got into the running lanes. They made him force throws, but credit Johnson being courageous to get them back in it. But at the same time, I mean, give Ruston a lot of credit. They gave DeJuan Johnson a rough go and a rough night. And I think they might have created something for other teams to look at, especially a team like a Westgate, that they can take a look at what they can do to, you might not stop Lafayette Christian totally, but you can slow them down enough that they might not score enough to win. So that is something that and then I think the run game beside the pass game was really successful for Ruston. They kept that offense off the field for Lafayette Christian. So you do that with a combination of stops, that really helps you big time, especially for Ruston. That is huge for Ruston going forward, and I think that solidify a stamp to them that they could be back in the Dome this year.
I'm going to say this. I think Lafayette Christian went home telling themselves that they won this game. And told themselves this. as soon as the game ended. And I think due to this happening, they're going to be better. They're going to be better because they feel like they should be undefeated. 5 turnovers. You had a chance at the end, and you still lost by 3 points. You still lost by 3 points. I think they're going to feel good about themselves. Let the loss go since yesterday. Moved on to their next game. I really feel like they should have won this game, and they're going to be better from it. What do you think, GP?
I know one team I wouldn't want to be. The team they're playing this week. And I don't have the schedule in front of me off the top of my head, but that's going to be a very angry, frustrated Lafayette Christian team. Ruston has had a couple of acid tests this year. They didn't quite pass the first one when they played Warren Easton, and that was a courageous effort by them that night. But Warren Easton came with it late and got the job done. Then Lafayette Christian did what they did Friday night. 5 turnovers. And listen, I mean, look, and I'm not going to rag on BK. He picked Ruston, big ups. Myself and Jared went the other way. But play this game on the square, which, let's be honest, Ruston's defense is very good. And you mentioned Westgate, VK, about that's a team. Look, defensively, that's a stout defensive team. I'm not sure they have the size. They have the speed, but I'm not sure they can line it up against those dudes from LC to stop them. I don't know if they'll stop.
I think they have the size because me and Jared went out there.
Hold on, VK. Hold on 1 second. 1 second, VK. Hold on, VK. Hold on. Of Royals.
All right.
Good luck.
Oh, that's a destroy. That's a destruction. Royals just got beat 48-0 to Bunkie last week at home. 48-0. What happens Friday night? We don't have to pick. Obviously, this is obviously not going to be a game we're going to pick. But anybody want to hang a number on this game? Because I'll tell you right now, LC will put up 80. I'm calling it now. It's Tuesday night, 8:30. They're gonna hang 80.
They put up 35 in the first quarter. Go ahead,
exactly.
Well, me and Jared was at the Destrehan and Westgate game last year, and Jared can attest to this. Westgate got size, man. They got size all around, and then on top of that, what was scary about them, George, young, and they're still young. Mm-hmm. We're talking about majority of the starters last year, George, sophomores to juniors. These guys are really, really good. I'm going to tell you this. Like, I ain't going to lie. Lafayette Christian's going to be tough as hell. They're going to be tough as hell and everything else. But Westgate matches up pretty good with them. And then on top of them, they got them boys at home. So it's going to be interesting to see. I wouldn't be surprised it'll be a shootout. But
and we'll be there.
And we'll be there for that one.
Exactly.
So regardless of the fact, I think Westgate presents an interesting match more than anything.
Now, I have a question for both of you guys. With Lafayette Christian losing to Ruston, this is obviously non-district. Does this put the Catholic League ahead of the LC's league as who's the best district?
I still got Catholic League ahead of them.
Me too.
I still do. Catholic League ahead of that district.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if people say that district is tougher than the Catholic, I would say no. But I still got the Catholic League tougher than that district. And look, be on the lookout for District 1 with Airline and all of them. That district is stepping up.
Yeah, Airline doing some work this year, the Vikings.
Agreed. I think, and I'm gonna still say it. I can't. There wasn't what to me. I cannot pick who's the best one because both of them are really good. And even with the loss, it ain't like Lafayette Christian lost to anybody. They lost to one of the best teams in the state, and arguably, and Ruston has proved themselves worthy. And did kind of sold out a little bit on them in the state championship, but at the same time, I've been said that the come up was coming, and like Deion Sanders said, yeah, forget what's coming. they're here. And they proved it last year, and right now they're proving it again this season that Ruston is that team and the best team in North Louisiana and in the state.
I just want to know one thing.
Well,
If Ruston would have lost this game, if Ruston loses this game, is VK out of the good graces of the Ruston fan club? Because remember, he touted this team hard before the state title game. I just want to know if Ruston would have tanked this lead and lost. Do you think they would have been like, "Look here, VK Jones, we love you"? They would have done what the cat did, Fred Flintstone, threw him out, and have been finished business. But no, all
I
kidding
guess
aside,
let me
congratulations
tell
to the Bearcats. Well done. You know, you did something not many people would do, and that's play defense against a team that you show no fear against. And what that tells me for Ruston guys is that they have now once again put themselves back on the front page of any discussion for non-selects or whatever bracket we're going to get.
and number one, don't forget Warren Easton had to forfeit that victory that
Yes,
they
he
got over
did.
them. So
Yep.
Ruston is now 4-0. And also Ruston has another big time matchup game this Friday against the Neville Tigers. So that's not going to be easy either. Neville is very good.
Hated
And whoever
rivalry.
wins that game, yeah, whoever wins that game, then we could say maybe that's the best team in Northern Louisiana. But I can't leave out Calvary Baptist yet. But Calvary
No.
is hosting Westgate. So a lot of answers will come out as to who are some of these best teams in the state. But let's go to the game that we went to and VK had the pleasure of calling. St. Augustine taking on Edna Carr. Now, people, were to tell you that Edna Carr only had 6 points at halftime, would you believe me? Most of y'all wouldn't. Not at all. Edna Carr went into halftime leading 6-2. St. Aug's defense playing lights out. But what were the major faults of St. Augustine in the first? It was once again getting into the red zone and not scoring. Now, we come back out in the second half. Carr scores first. Then St. Aug scores 14 points unanswered. Takes the lead 16-13.
Mhm.
St. Aug has a chance to put the game away. Dawson Simmons fumbles the ball on Edna Carr's 1 yard line. And Edna Carr didn't look back after that, scoring 14 straight to win 27-16. Right now, the main issue for St. Augustine is their offense. It's the offense. It's not clicking like Coach wants it to. It's not clicking. They're not in rhythm yet. But if that offense could get in rhythm, St. Aug may be and that's me speaking truth. Because the defense I saw Saturday night, Carr was struggling to move the ball on St. Augustine.
Mm-hmm.
They were struggling. Carr was struggling to block that defensive line. Jakeem Stewart had a field day. He had a field day of getting to the backfield. Their DBs played good. Their offense got to get rolling. They got to come together. I'm going to go to the St. VK Jones, and he can give you his thoughts about it.
Well, I definitely enjoyed calling the game on Saturday. I really was glad that this game was a really good game, and not just that. I told a lot of people, well, in the car team, I said, "Hey, bro, you should have seen the game on Saturday." Saying, "I'll give these people a war," and that was something I can say as an alumnus I appreciated, regardless of the fact, because they didn't lay down. They gave Carr their best shot. They gave Carr their best shot, big time, right there. The way they played. Thank you, DJ 13. Yeah, I mean the game itself. At first, and we said it before that St. Augustine had to set the tone on the run, which it tried to do early, but Carr's defense was stopping it. So they had to go to the air a little bit. But then all of a sudden in the second half, Nick Foster found something. They started doing more of a motion type offense, more of the jet sweeps, but got to the side where it was kind of weak for Carr, and they started hitting the holes. They started being successful. So with that being said, sometimes the St. Aug offense has got to really settle down, but they're going to have to figure it out early where the weak spots are and take advantage of it. And that's what they're going to have to do. And the thing is, they got to finish. Like Coach Foster said, they got to finish drives. Now, that drive and Dawson Simmons, that big pass to Jackson was huge. And I'm thinking St. Aug about to take this lead. But all of a sudden, credit Ed and Carr, some way, somehow, they made a huge play, causing a fumble. And St. Aug was fortunate that wasn't a touchdown. But, man, that was a huge play in itself. And I give a lot of credit to Coach Bryce Brown at the end, just deciding to go put the ball game away. And it takes a lot of guts to do that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of going for the first down, run the clock, I just said, no, let's score this thing, put this thing out of reach. So that's big time credit going to him. But, St. Augusta just need to be a little more consistent in finishing drives, but figuring out early, because that defense we knew, we had a feeling Jakeem was going to have a game like he did, because a lot of talk. And I know he was motivated. So Jakeem did his thing. The other defensive linemen did their thing. The second, I'm going to tell you this, Christian Pritchett, he did not have a bad game. He, there were some plays, but the rest of that secondary, I'm going to tell you one thing, Christian Pritchett got help. He got some help. So that secondary is legit for St. Aug, and I think St. Aug showed that defense is going to keep them in a lot of ball games. That offense has got to just really get together. But a win like that for Edna Carr, I think, and me and Jared talked about this, and I agree with him, this is the win that's going to take Carr a long way, because they need a type of game like this.
GP.
Well, I said this to you guys the moment the game that we congregated together, because JB, you and I were on the sideline for that game, taking film and instant analysis, talking about the game. The one thing I pointed out for me, there's a lot of things to point out, but when St. Aug went up tempo, JB, what I tell you, I said they found something. They didn't stay with it though. Remember, there were a couple of sequences in that second half where they tempoed this game, where they no huddled, but they didn't stay with it. I was like, and I'm scratching my head. I'm like, it's working. Now you got some click. You got some click on your offense. You got some moves, But then they went back to the basics and whatnot. And I said what was the one thing I told both of you? St. Augustine showed me more in defeat than they would have ever shown me in a win. This is a team offensively that is skilled. There is no doubt that team is skilled. They just need they just need to reestablish their mojo and their confidence going forward as they get into the second half of the season. You want to be playing better, obviously heading into the playoffs than now. But this was a heck of a litmus test. And St. Aug, I think, in most cases, passed. It's not going to show you on the scoreboard, but they passed this test. They answered some questions about the temerity and the character of this team. And I got to say this, Jakeem Stewart owned Carr's offensive line. They couldn't touch him. None of them dudes could touch him. They slid max protection on him. They double teamed him. There was one play, and I remember, was it in the second quarter, JB, where he just bull rushed through the line. Nobody touched him, and Johnson never had a chance. He just dominated. That man is only a sophomore, and we get 2 more years of this. Man, I mean, that dude is incredible. Yo, Jakeem, Michigan's looking for a D lineman. I can use you. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there. But look, St. Augustine's got top end talent. This we knew coming in. They showed themselves. They accommodated themselves well. The other thing that none of you have mentioned, the penalties. There were some undisciplined moments in that game for the Purple Knights, and there were some crucial penalties that were called against them. A couple of blocks in the back, There was a pick six that was taken away uh, due to a block in the back, which I looked at JB. I was like, where? Because I didn't see it. It was like, I don't know, the number 20 that took that ball back, and it was like blocking the back.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I remember turning to JB and I said, "Did you see something? Because I didn't." And I've got four eyes. He's got two, so I'm supposed to have an advantage. And I'm like, I didn't see nothing. And look, none of us. I mean, VK is an alumnus, but when we do what we do, we don't have dogs in this fight. We go to see good football, and we saw a lot of it this weekend, especially with that game. And the atmosphere was pretty palpable as well. It was really good. That atmosphere was nice. Surprising thing that happened after the game. They do the fifth quarter, and St. Aug left. I've never seen that before, and I've been to a handful of St. Aug games. Never seen their fan base leave. I was like, damn, that surprised me. And there's another thing that surprised. They didn't. Well, I could say surprised me, but I won't mention that because that's an inside joke between the three of us. Just involves agility. That's all I gotta say. That's all. But JB, you know what I'm talking
I know
about.
you're talking about. Look at BK's
Exactly.
again.
Up and down we go. But no,
All right.
and look, Bryce Brown and Nick Foster and Bryce and Victory, that's a gracious coach. And people, want to shoot on him and bang on him. It's like, man, come on. The dude acknowledged St. Augustine. He said to us that this game was going to be physical and he expected nothing less. The thing that JB brought up, I was a you or VK that said this. A close game like Carr had. They didn't have that last year getting into the playoffs, and I think came back to get them. A game like this is going to serve them very, very well as we head into the second half. I know what I said at the beginning of the year that I think Curtis has a better football team. All I know is this: both of y'all better get to this game not undefeated, because man, we are licking our chops for that game in Week 10. Y'all both need to get there undefeated. Now, we're not supposed to root, but for the sake of the Hash It Out Show game of the week, we want this to be the game of the year. And it might be if they both teams get there undefeated.
That's what we're hoping more than anything else. We're hoping that big time. And then on top of that, the road don't get any easier for both teams. Like,
No,
and the Cars got
Brother
Brother
Martin.
Martin this week, and then Curtis got a hot Holy Cross team. So
Hey guys, I'm gonna stop y'all right quick. We're gonna bring in our guests. Our first, we'll bring him in right now.
JB,
I'm here. Can you hear me?
yeah, I hear you.
Can you hear me, VK?
I hear you.
All right. Trying to bring in Coach Powell.
I'm here.
It's not moving as I try to bring.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Coach.
I hear you, Coach.
Good evening. How y'all doing?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear
Doing
you.
really
we can
good.
hear you.
Yep.
Yeah. My apologies. We had a late practice, so my apologies.
You're good.
No problem. You good. You good.
Yes, sir.
While Jared get that technical thing straight a little bit, let's welcome our special one of our guests today, the head coach of the Amite Warriors, who is a two-time state champion for the Warriors. The head coach, Zephaniah Powell. What's going on, Coach?
Appreciate it. Look, I want to just tell you guys thank y'all for having me on, and we really appreciate what you guys do for high school sports in Louisiana.
Absolutely. We definitely appreciate you having the time out to join us tonight. And
Yes, sir.
First of all, this week is a big time week for y'all more than anything else, the big time rivalry and everything. Well, hopefully we have all the guests as well. But first of all, we're gonna talk with you about the Amite Kentwood rivalry.
Sure.
How big this rivalry is, more than anything else, especially in the state of Louisiana.
It's one of the oldest rivalries in the state. In our parish, Tangible Parish, two of the most prominent, athletic schools is Kentwood High School and, the school where I'm at right now at Amite High School. Through the years, Kentwood, they've been a traditional power, going all 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and all up into, Amite, the same way. A lot of the coaches are connected. You had the career brothers. One brother was the head coach at Kentwood. The other brother was the head coach at Amite. So the times that they played against each other, that was a big game. Career at Kentwood, he was winning state championships. Coach career at Amite, he was winning state championships as well too. And staying within coaching, the head coach now, Coach Jonathan Foster, he's an Amite alum. So he has ties to our area. And then there's family involvement as well too. A lot of our kids and our families have relatives, in the Kentwood area and vice versa. My first cousin, he's actually the minister of probably the largest church in Kentwood up there. So, and I have a bunch of family in the Kentwood area as well. So, no, this rivalry is huge game, and and I know you guys are more based in that New Orleans area. So, I mean, you kind of looking like a mini car, a mini Warren Easton type game, or a mini car type game, or John Curtis Rummel type game. So, I mean, it's on that level.
Very much agreed on that one. Let's it's so much history with these two rivalries and stuff like that. How it is that you go against a person that was a former Amite alumnus that is leading the rivalry in Kent, leaving the rival in Kentwood.
Right. Coach Fawzy's a good guy. That's the first thing. Outside of being a good guy, excellent coach as well too. He's won three state championships since he's been there as well. So, he was one of the first African American, head coaches in our, to win a state championship. I want to say he was the first, that at the time, I was in the Amite High job because Sumner, which is right down the road high. So, he's one of the look to, for guidance, for help, and also as a mentor as well. And I, coaching it grew as well too. But he's an excellent coach. Kids ready to play each and every Friday night. Has a very good coaching staff. Just my humble opinion. I mean, he's underrated. And have Northern 1A schools, to get a little more notoriety as far as coaching wise. But I mean, he's right there in my opinion, because Kentwood, they're usually semifinal, or they're playing for a state championship, or they state runner up.
Yes, sir. You guys coming in 2-1 on the season.
Right.
You got a couple of big wins. You won a good one on the road at Country Day last week. Can you tell us what you take from last week going into this week against Kentwood?
Well, Metairie Park, well coached, and an area head coach. He actually worked from 2019. Coach Chris Pachetta was my offensive line coach. We won a state championship together. But Chris, he does a great job of getting kids ready. Crappy team, they're fundamentally sound. We special teams wise, because on film and on tape, and it's been years for Country Day. They've always been. Won a championship in 2018. It's a very quarterback. I think he's at Tulane, right? I think his last name
Justin
Abieta. I think so. I mean, he could play.
Justin Abieta.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, he handedly, single-handedly kept him in the game, and right there. So that's the reason why we pretty much kind of keep them on our schedule to try to play them as much as we possibly. But also the week before, that happened out at St. Helena. So we I would say a bye week, and I was just kind of concerned. We may be a little rough. Maybe not fire on all cylinders. Once we start playing, and to come with a victory.
Absolutely. I'm gonna ask you a little bit about the situation that You did not play, say, in Atlanta. They had a tragedy and everything
Right.
else. And I know you're pretty close with a couple of the coaches and everything else.
Oh,
What were your
yeah.
thoughts of what happened and everything? And I know it hit hard for that community and especially for y'all community as well.
Yeah. It's just for the coaching aspect. Gordon, who is the head coach, my defensive coordinator since 2015, and is to get the St. Helena job a year ago. Then he elevated from there to become. I mean, he was pretty much moving every direction. The young man in question that was killed. I mean, it was a young man. He actually when it was his freshman year. Someone that I knew personally, gifted man, student athlete, a good student athlete. So, track situation. I know the head coach, assistant coaches. I say I know how they feel, but I really don't. The reason why I say it is because in 2019 we had a student athlete, he had a detected heart situation, but that happened during the month. His death causes, so we were able to kind of mourn a little bit, kind of grieve a little bit, to kind of put everything in perspective for us, and our kids were able to come in and do this, to be able to start this situation happened. I mean, it's tragic. So I really don't know how those coaches are dealing with that, with I don't know. My heart goes out to him. My thought goes out to him. And that's it's hard. It's hard. It's tough. I mean, like I said, yeah. So I mean, that's a tough situation, and the community. The community is affected by it because we have a young man that that's that was. Young man is probably going to be behind, for the time of his life. I mean, I don't, that leads to another topic that we need to do. Think doing, so it's tough.
It's unbelievable with that story because that day, that Thursday when it happened, I was actually, me and JB was talking with one of the assistant coaches that day, and I believe that was Hen who was talking to.
Coach Singleton, yeah.
They call him Hurricane Hen. Yeah, Coach Singleton. Hank. So we talked with him and everything earlier that day, and it's funny because it's unbelievable that it happened that same day. So very tragic on that one. JB, ready to get it, man? Go ahead and take over.
Yes, Coach Powell, thank you for joining us. I apologize for the technical difficulties on my end that's happened. But my first question is, why did you want to? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Why did you want to become a head coach?
I'll be honest with you. Growing up, I mean, football was something that, I mean, I just grabbed to. Just a little backstory for that. The game was pretty much it was introduced to me through my uncle Lewis Williams, and then one of my brothers, Lloyd Powell. Just speaking on my uncle Lewis, he was a big Jackson State guy. So I mean, being young, him picking me up on weekends, and we're going up to to watch Jackson State play. And then my brothers, they actually went to school at Mississippi Valley State. One of my brothers, so I can remember being on the sideline, Rice and Willie Totten, the gunslinger. I mean, so I was pretty much just, and that's the reason I'm a diehard 49er fan today. But I can remember one of my oldest brother, his name is Tyrone Powell. He was actually the dean of students at Alcorn State. And so during the era of Steve McNair, I mean, I pretty much was on campus, during that time, like my early years. So I've always done football, and that's something that I always wanted to do. High school, I played it. And I was blessed to go to Southern Miss and have an opportunity to play it. And a person who was my head coach at the time, really, really, really wanted to get off in the coaching, and his name Bauer. And the reason why I say that is because my freshman year, we were getting ready to play Tulane, but the week before, his daughter, she would have been my age today. I'm 45. His daughter was in a car accident, and pretty much she life or whatever. Our coach Bauer coaching us during the week, being strong not only for himself but for the team, his coaches, his family, the Hattiesburg community. And that stuck with me. And I say, I want to be that. I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. So, and once I graduated from college, I went home, Liberty, Mississippi, Amite County, Mississippi. I started coaching there, and I stayed at home for a year. Then I moved to Biloxi, Mississippi. I have family that lives on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And from that point, it just took off. I was in Biloxi from 2001 to 2009, had an opportunity to coach a lot of good athletes there. From Damian Fletcher, who played at Subway Fluker, who played Seattle Seahawks, a couple of other teams. Isaiah Kanan played basketball for the Houston Rockets. Opportunity to coach a lot of good players there. In 2009, I wanted to get back closer to when the Jules Sumner job opened up, and I was blessed to get that job. And in 2015, I was blessed to get the Amite job. So that's pretty much kind of my story with coaching.
You had the chance to coach Heisman Trophy winner Devontae.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Tell us about Devontae Smith when he was at Amite High School.
Devontae, I'm gonna be honest with you. He was the epitome, and he still is the epitome of hard work. And being underestimated. Oh my God, I used it. Our coaches used it. Our team used it. Because when you still look at him today, skinny, thin, not that big. But once he put on his shoulder pads, once he put on his helmet, I mean, he transformed to whatever. I mean, but his practice, I mean, he was phenomenal in practice, leadership, great leader. First one there, last one to leave, dynamic in the weight room, dynamic in the class. If it was offense, it was defense, it was special teams, it didn't matter. And he high school wise, I mean, I know we threw the ball so much, probably underutilized him because it was so much probably could have did with him. But I think once he got to Alabama, and they kind of saw, so much more that he could do, brought everything out of him. But I mean, he was a joy to coach. He was a joy to coach.
Winning state championships
Mm-hmm.
is a tough task. It's hard to do. But you have won two of them, 2018 and 21. Talk about those two teams for a minute. What, besides winning the state championship, why were those two teams so special?
The 2018 team, we had a very good group of seniors. That 2018 senior class, we had a Money Gilmore who signed at Kentucky. I want to say he's playing at Grambling right now. Devontae Lee, who's at Louisiana Tech. Kyle Maxwell, who's at Louisiana Tech. Ishmael Sopsh, at the point, he was the number one defensive tackle in America at that time. We ran Branch, who signed at the University of Georgia. Cameron Henderson, South Alabama. We were extremely loaded, and at the same token too, we had a very, very, very good coaching staff and had a lot of continuity as well. But that senior group, they were actually freshmen in 2015 when we had the situation with Bogalusa in the LHSA where we were excluded, from the playoffs. We were supposed to play against St. James, and and this is no knock to St. James, but we pretty much kind of knew that we were going to take care of business to get that. So But we pretty much used that motivation in 2016, because in 2016 we made it back to the Dome and we lost to Lutcher. So it was like 44-38, so, and they were sophomores then. So, and we just pretty much, we kept using it. 2017, we came close. And then 2018, once we got there, I mean, we knew that we were going to take care of. As far as practice-wise, something they would do, we got really, really big on special teams. I would advise coaches to make sure that once you get off into the, you want to work your special teams throughout the year, but once you get off into the playoffs, really, really make sure that you're, taking care of that. Also, too, playing smart football. We would go over things with our kids, each and every, for instance, like with our quarterback, we would just play smart football with the quarterback, like a tip to the quarterback, giving him scenarios. Hey, look, you drop back in the pocket, ball is tipped. What do you do? Knock it down, catch it, or what? What do you do? Things with our running backs. Hey, we got 2 minutes left in the game. You break a run, fall out of bounds. Pretty much things like that. To make sure that our kids are understanding the game of football, tackling circuits, turnover circuits. Things that we knew that were going to come into play. As we got deeper and deeper into the playoffs. So, but I give credit to my coaches too, because those are scenarios and circumstances and points in the game that we wanted to make sure that our kids knew what the coaches, we knew what to do as well too. 2021 was pretty much the same way. We were seeing Jalen Robinson, who's now the starting quarterback at Centenary College at Shreveport, Terrell, who's playing Southern right now. Zamian Waller, who's a defensive tackle at Hines Community College. Jeremy Robinson, another defensive tackle at Holmes Community College. So I mean, we have seniors that way. Same formula that we used in 2018. We pretty much kind of replicated it in 2021. So, like I said, but once we got off into the playoff mode, we were really, really, really hard on our special team and smart football. And plus, those kids who were 21, I think they were ninth grade at the time. So they pretty much kind of saw that group in it. So they pretty much kind of knew exactly what it was going to take. And also, staying in the weight room too. We lift. We'll bring them in on Sunday. We will lift them on Mondays, lift them on Tuesday. We want to do as long as we possibly could too. And film. We a whole lot of film. And that's something that I heard is because we did an interview together at the Greater 2016 or 18 question, and afterwards, he would tell me, say, Coach, we do a whole lot more film to the playoffs, because the more that your kids know is going to be best for them. So a bunch of film helps film too, so you can fix your mistakes.
Before last season, Amite got to the semifinals and lost to the eventual state runner-ups, Union Parish. Right. What has been the mindset of your team going into the season?
It's it's poetry street, and our kids from 8th grade to our seniors know what's on. That's pretty much every year. That's when they come into our field, our waiting room, our film room, is. So I mean, it's that we feel that if we're able and practicing during the Thanksgiving break, we have an opportunity, to get back to Poetry Street, but last year we ran into an excellent with Union Parish, Trey Holly, and a lot of the other weapons that they have. Same token, I'm pretty much kind of like Coach Prime. Hey, they old fashioned butt whooping. Ain't nothing to it. They were the better team that night. But January rolled around, we're back in the weight room, and hopefully we have opportunity to get back to semifinals and and back down the points. That's pretty much been the message. Poetry Street.
George Peppers.
Coach, first off, on behalf of the Hash It Out Show, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here on the show tonight. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
First question. How do you feel about your team as you head into this rivalry game against Kentwood? based on what you've got, you've had 2 easy wins. You had the bad loss against Hammond in week 1. How do you feel about your team
Right.
as we head into the rivalry game at the Tank against Kentwood?
We're young, man. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. We're playing 2 fresh on our left side of our quarterback is new. All 4 of our receivers are brand new. Defensive line, we're playing three new starters. We're playing 2 new starters in our secondary, but what that is, our kids, they're super talented, but I mean, we have talent everywhere. We're just experiencing, but on the side of that, Kentwood, this is probably Kentwood's most team that they've had, since Coach has been there. The group that we're getting ready to play playing football since their 9th grade year, and they're talented. They're playing 2 quarterbacks off their they're for 1A school, they're huge. And when they flip around the defensively, or to say, I'll say like my worry is just our experience. So 2 year that we're actually going up Kentwood, because in 2020 we didn't get a chance to play them because of COVID. 2021 they had to come us, and we had the schedules again, and we scheduled for them to come to us in 2022. So it's been since 2018 since we went to Kentwood, played against them. So that the environment, trying to get our kids used to that, by piping in fire, them outside of our stadium. It's it's be, but I just kind of worry about an experience factor.
Everything I've heard about Kentwood's atmosphere, it's palpable. I've not been. First off, it's like they're on top of you, is what I've been told by numerous columnists. It feels like they're on top of you. Now, as we get closer to, oh, absolutely, I don't think there's any question. And one day I'd love to make that trip to go up there and watch y'all 2 play, because I expect a good competitive football game Friday night. Kentwood, as you mentioned, is experienced. You guys are a little bit young, but throw that stuff out the window, I think, when it comes to this game, correct? So, next one.
Kid,
Mm-hmm. But are you a little concerned that they're going to go under that atmosphere Friday night, being that your team is so young? Does that concern you, or do you think the challenge that you guys can equate and get up? Obviously, you're going to be up for it, but being it's their first time in that atmosphere, are you concerned about your kids going in?
Well, I'll put it to you like this. The thing that I'm hoping for is once we get those jitters out those first few drives, and our kids kind of settle down, I think we'll be okay. Now we do have some seniors, on our team that's been in big games. Our linebacker core is pretty much senior laden. And those kids, they've, like last year playing in Union Parish, and all of our senior linebackers played against Union Parish, and that was a big atmosphere game. In some of the games in 2021, sophomores, winning state. You guys brought up Devontae Smith. His younger brother actually plays for right now. His name, he started for us as a sophomore linebacker. So so our seniors, they've been in big games before. But like I said, I think once we get there, once we settle down, I think we'll be okay. We'll be fine.
Give us the key to this game. I mean, as far as the game, it's seen film on Kentwood. You know what they're going to bring. Give us some keys to what you guys are going to have to do to pull this thing out.
Real simple. Defensive alignment and assignment. Got to make sure, and this is old school football. Just assignment. We got to be able to make sure that we line up, and we're completing our assignment. And once we do that, we feel making sure we're tackling. From the offensive side of the ball, it's just real simple. Limit penalties as best we can and help the defense win. Limit penalties as best we can, help the defense win, and don't turn the football over. And then special teams wise, just be special, control the field, so. And then Robinson says, football comes down to 2 things: who can block the best and who can tackle the best, and hopefully hopefully we can do that. I think we'll be fine.
And when you look at the remainder of your schedule after Kentwood, you get Bogalusa, who's laden with offensive talent.
Yep.
And then a couple of weeks down the road, you get another physical football team, a 1A team and a 2A team in Sterlington, who's tested 3A. I'm sorry, I said 2. I'm sorry, I corrected.
Problem.
That's a physical football team that has tested themselves a lot this year. I know it's the second year of the schedule cycle, and being with your young team, those are obviously challenges with this schedule. What do you feel about your team as after the Kentwood game? Obviously, the focus is on Kentwood, but after that, how do you project your team going forward?
It's a gauntlet. It's a gauntlet. Like the Friday night, we jump into the gauntlet with Bogalusa. Ashton Levy, he's to me, he's to be recruited by some schools you can kind of use his services, but he's probably one of the most dynamic makers here, here on the North Shore. And after that, we play Pine. They're undefeated right now. They haven't lost a game. I think they've been averaging 50-some points a game. After that, like you said, in Arlington, they come to town. Last year we went to we beat them. So they're with that on their mindset. So I just think once we get in about that 7 or game 8, hopefully by our young kids, count me, I'm gonna be settled. As coaches, if we're doing, to find the kids that we offensively, defensively, special teams, and keep preaching the little things, right? And also making details, making sure that we're standing in the weight room, holding our kids accountable. I think we'll be okay. This is another thing too that me and my coach we talked about, because we do have talent. It's diversity early. Way we because if early, you won't have nothing left. If we can just kind of keep a simple young talent out, I think we'll be okay. You still there?
I'm here. I'm just. It's all right. My last question. I flip it back to JB. Obviously, this is one of your biggest games of the season, rivalry game. What is the enthusiasm been like this week at school as in advance of the game, as far as the students and everything? How much excitement is build up has there been to this point?
The is probably the teachers are taught to cheer, to talking about our dance team. It's our middle school, our elementary school, our material workers, real staff. I mean, it's a big, it's. I mean, everybody's excited. Everybody's looking forward to it.
VK, it's on you, buddy. I know you got another question for Coach.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I guess like ball men on campus, Paul 4, you know what I'm saying? So it's all to the good.
Right.
Yeah. It's a good thing, But I want to ask you this. The power so far, it's been different areas that've been having some good, football everywhere and stuff like that. It seems like this year the North Shore is starting to break out from Slidell all the way up to your area to Kentwood. What are your thoughts of the power of football this year in the state, especially in the North Shore, going up towards nearby the Mississippi border? So,
just on, I mean, Kentwood, they had we've always had it as well too. They're Amite alumnus. He was one of Coach Nick Saban's. So that's another Amite Hammond High.
And we lost Coach for a second. We lost Coach. Hopefully, we can get Coach back. We lost him for a second. There he is.
They're doing great. Salmon is doing a great job as well. North Shore, they're definitely improved. So Paul, St. Paul's. I mean, yes, everything from the North Shore moving on north. I mean, it's been football is getting much better, and I would say like the level of commitment and the level of starting St. Tammany schools are better in football too.
Absolutely. You look at from St. Tammany all the way to Tangible Hole. I mean, it's been amazing how this year is going because you got one of your only loss was to Hammond, and Hammond has truly improved more than anything else. So it's a big time sign that North Shore to Tangible Hole area is starting to really, really have some power this year.
Right. Yes, sir.
JB?
Coach Powell.
Yes.
Coach Powell, good luck to you Friday night. Good luck to you in the rest of the season. And once again, we thank you for joining us. We truly appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all so much. At any time, y'all just let me know.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, y'all.
You too.
You too.
You too. That's Coach Zephaniah Powell. Under the Tank, Friday night, Kentwood versus Amite. George, I'll let you go first about this matchup on Friday night.
I mean, he pointed out a very big key to me that, look, and this is one about Coach Powell, he's brutally honest. Kentwood's got the thing that Amite does not have, and I think the Kangaroos have that inherent advantage, the experience factor. I think this is going to play a big, big role Friday night. I'm not saying Amite cannot win, but when you look at who's the favorite, Kentwood is. I mean, it has to be. They're hosting the game for the first time in 5 years. And that's, again, circumstantial. That's not anything to do with, well, we want to play here or there. Remember, COVID 2020 ruined a lot of stuff and really put things in a little bit of a discombobulated state. So this is the first time, and that crowd is going to be absolutely jacked Friday night. I mean, and, that's going to be a competitive football game, but Kentwood's got some serious talent. And remember, this was a team by some prognosticators around the state was pegged to get to the dome, this year. There's some people that think they can get to the Superdome. And I'm not one to argue, although the only thing I will put in is that if the bracket is 2022's bracket, they got a great shot. If it's 21, I have no clue.
Agreed. VK.
Well, this is going to be a very, very good game in itself. Kentwood probably has one of their best teams since they last won the state championship in 2018, and at the same time, what I'm hearing is probably more deeper in talent than it was in 18. So I think Coach Foster's done a great job with his program and everything since he has taken over. He's got about a couple of titles in 2015 and 2018. And trying to look for another one and maybe one of his best teams that he has coached. And, Kentwood is a really good team that the Tank is going to be rocking. Amite looking to try to bounce back, looking to try to, take control of this rivalry. But this is a really out of a lot of teams in the state with these rivalries. This is one of the best rivalries in the state because this is not really a one-sided rivalry. Because these teams kind of separate. They got maybe a 2-game winning streak as much, and then the other team wind up winning, or each year it rotates. So this is a good and intense rivalry, and definitely it is one of the best in the state.
One day I'm going to see this game in person. I don't know when, but it's a must. It's a bucket list, and I have to sit under that tank I have to see what is all the talk about sitting under the tank. I gotta go to Kentwood just to experience this. I've never been to a Kentwood game, never been to a Kentwood Amite game, but I have to. The talk about this atmosphere of sitting under the tank in Kentwood. I gotta experience this. I just gotta see what I'll talk about. I mean, BK, I think
me
you've been
too.
under the tank. Maybe you can tell me a little bit.
I've been to Amite. I have not been under the tank.
Oh man,
I have not been under the tank. I've been to Amite twice, and it's a really good atmosphere. Amite. It's really really cool. You know, very unique in itself. You know, and I really like what they're doing out there. But I do. It was on the list for one of our games, but
it
it was
was.
very unfortunate that I got called to do something for another entity that Friday. That's why we have the Thursday game this week that we're going to announce. But at the same time, that was actually one of our games. And, you know, and guess what? Here's the thing. A couple years ago, they was in the same division. They was in the same division a couple years ago. So if they would have been in the same division, guess what? We've been trying to look for that game in the playoffs, even in the semifinals, and we'd have made our way to the track. I'm just telling you now. But I think 1 year, but regardless if it's not Amite, I do want to go check out Kentwood in a playoff game out there at the tank. Maybe broadcast it or cover it either way, but to see what it's all about out there in Kentwood. Kentwood is the last town before you hit the Mississippi border.
Yep.
It's the last time before you hit the Mississippi border. So trust me on that, man. I want to go into Kentwood. I want to check it out, the town, and I want to check out Kentwood High and see what that tank is all about. The home of the Spears family, but home of one of the best football programs in the state. That's Kentwood.
All right, cool deal. Let's move on. Let's talk about some top 10 rankings. We never really talked about top 10 rankings, the state top 10 rankings. So let's get into these top 10 rankings of each class and give me your thoughts. Do you kind of agree with it or you don't agree with it? Okay. Now, class 5A, number 1 is John Curtis. Number 2 is Edna Carr. Destrehan 3. Ruston 4. I'm sorry, Zachary 4. Ruston 5. Karen Crow 6. West Monroe 7. Acadiana 8. Airline 9. East St. John 10. VK, how do you feel about these rankings of the top 10?
Okay, give me the top 4 one more time.
Can you see that?
I can't see that because it's upside down.
I don't think he can see it.
No, it's upside down.
It's upside down. How?
Yeah, you got it. You know it.
He's right.
No, I don't. It is up. It's straight.
It's straight to you on the screen when we can see it. It's upside down. It's opposite
Joe,
direction.
is it upside down for you? Or is it reverse?
It's in reverse. It's I think that's what he's trying to tell you. That it's reversed.
Oh,
it's not upside down per se.
It's reverse.
Yes. Reverse.
But
it's reverse. I got it.
I can't make much of an argument.
I'm about to fix it, BK. I'm about to fix it for you.
Oh.
Okay.
This is not my computer, everybody. It's not my computer.
Okay.
But I got it fixed.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I don't think I have a problem at all with this. I'm more surprised Zachary is at the number 4 spot more than anything else. But hey, you know what I'm saying? They're there. You know what I'm saying? I think Ruston should be right at the 4 spot. But at the same time, I don't think I have a problem with this top 10. It's a pretty good top 10 in itself. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, Acadiana holding in there in the top 10 spot, it's kind of saying something, especially after what happened to them against Lafayette Christian. Like they're trying to get it together more than anything else, you know. But teams like Crow and Ruston and Airline, they're going to pass up some of these teams, you know what I'm saying, especially if they continue to stay hot.
Ooh. GP, what you think?
I mean, I have no real big gripe with the rankings, and I see East St. John climbed in off that demonstrative win against Thibodeau last Friday night in a game that we called on the Hash It Out Sports Game of the Week, Hash It Out Show Game of the Week last Friday night, and Joe Keller's welcoming, and we thank them for allowing us the opportunity on such short notice to get this game on. And talking about internet issues, man, it was almost cataclysmic up there at Keller last Friday, but we were able to watch a very good football team, and I told VK on the air, I said, look, if this team can play a disciplined 48-minute game, they had a litany of penalties in that first half. They were clearly better than Thibodeau. And that's not saying a whole lot. Thibodeau's on a little bit of a rebuild of some sort. They do have a promising young quarterback in Brody Beck now, but they just didn't match up. And to be honest, but East St. John is a team I'm excited to see what they've got going forward. They got that week 9 tussle with Destrehan, and that's going to say a lot of what they're going to do, obviously, with Destrehan being the king dog. And VK is mentioning Zachary and Ruston. That's apples and oranges. I think those things are going to sort themselves out. Those are two very good football teams. And Zachary, quite honestly, if I was to gripe, and I'm not really one to do so, I would probably flip 4 and 5. But other than that, I think these rankings are pretty solid for the most part.
Pretty solid for the most part. I really don't have no gripe about it. St. Augustine received a vote at number 11. Cali Baton Rouge 12. Brother Martin 13. Southside 14. Dusttown 15. Sam Houston, Holy Cross Parkway leads the rest of the way of the others receiving votes. But I look at Ruston, man. They lost on the field to Warren Easton, but they got the win back. And that's what we're going by with them having the win back. I got to put Ruston a little higher. In my opinion, I would put Ruston above Destrehan. If we look at that stretch of schedule right now, they beat a Lafayette Christian. They beat a tough Warren Easton team who's had to forfeit a victory to them. I would put Ruston a little bit higher. Zachary got a good win over St. Augustine. It was a tough team. Destrehan. Who is the tough team that Destrehan has beat? Bonneville, Hornville, East Ascension, and
John Ehret.
John Ehret. John Ehret is the toughest team with 2 wins.
And they dominated that game with Saint 250 and 2 in that game. Right.
That's right. I would put Ruston a little higher.
I don't know. Ruston lost that game on the field to Warren Easton. I'm not one to reward appeals. I'm sorry. I don't know, VK, where you slide on this, but I would keep Ruston where they're at. Look, we've seen that Ruston Destrehan game last year. If we get it again this year at some point in the playoffs, I'd be excited to watch that game. But to counterpoint, since you're mentioning it that way, I get the theology, the logic, but I'm not one to just, I'm going to rank you higher because you just got a forfeit, an appeal victory. You didn't win it on the field. So, and I'm not saying to punish them, but I think the rankings are accurate. In that vein, I would respectfully, sir, disagree with you.
I totally do agree with you, what you're saying. That's why I said according to the forfeit.
It's a good debate, though. It's a good debate to have, though.
Yeah.
And then you look at also the other wins for Ruston. They get a road win. I know, against a tough Jesuit team that's really not laying down.
Dominated
and they actually dominated them in the second half.
Right, 35-7 it finished.
Yeah, it was a tough first half. You beat 2 teams from the 2 toughest districts in the state. So for that being said, but I think the rankings is accurate, and I think it is solid. I think the 4 and 5 should be flipped a little bit, but at the same time, it's not bad the way it is. But I think some of these teams, this week is going to be the week that some teams they're going to start getting a little bit more head. So this is gonna be an interesting week to see what it is because it's some monster matchups.
I think the one team out of the rankings that I'd be excited to see, I don't expect them to win, but Brother Martin, if they somehow find a way to beat it in the car, what kind of a jump would they get into the poll if they beat that team? That's the thing I'd be looking for if the Crusaders and Mark Boney find a way to win that game. What kind of a boost would they get if they win? Because remember, they went to Wichita last week and crushed them 31-14. That's not an easy environment to go in there and play. But now you get in the car, off a little bit of a short week because remember they played Saturday. This game is on Friday, so I don't expect them to beat Carr. But where would they go? Southside's another team that can jump into the ratings because they're in that crazy district, as well. Look, there's a lot of football to be played. These ratings are going to sort themselves out. The best thing that we have, even with the top tens, is this. The power rankings are the most accurate set of power rankings. To the person that created that power rating system, I tip my hat to you, my boy. I tip my hat to you because now you got a system that's going to reward excellence and punish mediocrity. I love this system.
I'll say this. Brother Martin beats that in the car. You got to put him in there somewhere.
Yep.
I don't know where. You got to put him in there somewhere. Somebody got to get knocked out. But let's go to 4A. 4A. Number 1, St. Thomas More. Number 2, Neville. Lafayette Christian, 3. Westgate, number 4. North DeSoto, 5. Warren Easton at 1 and 3 due to the forfeits and the loss to Carr. Warren Easton is number 6. Lutcher is number 7. West Feliciana is number 8. Turley's Catholic at number 9. And number 10 with a 2-2 record is Archbishop Shaw. Others receiving votes: Cecilia, Tioga, Evangel, Opelousas, Franklin Parish. And Franklin Parish is actually number 1 in the power rankings in non-select Division 2. Plaquemine, Morgan City, and Vanderbilt Catholic. So, VK, I'll start with you again. Your thoughts on the top 10.
Thank you very much. Very accurate in itself. You got some really good teams up in there. I think Lafayette Christian might have been number 2 behind St. Thomas More, and it went down with the loss and everything else. But this is more accurate. Welcome Archbishop Shaw to the top 10 in the state, and I think back to the top 10. Well, welcome back. But I think Warren Easton, I think they're giving the Eagles a lot of respect regardless of the forfeits, because they know that those games that they won was on the field, regardless of the fact, So I think that's why I'm really surprised that Easton's still in the top 10, but but I think the Riders are showing a lot of respect to them.
GP.
Look, I'm gonna make a little joke here about Shaw. The top 10 off that barn burner win last Friday night against Bonneville. That was a heart stopper, wasn't it? I kid when I say that. But look, Warren Easton, I'm with VK. They're 1 and 3. The record, nothing. They have beaten Ruston. They have beaten Baton Rouge Catholic, who's a little bit down. I think Baton Rouge Catholic's a smidge down this year. They're not that team in Baton Rouge. Take nothing away. They almost rang a half 100 on them. They were a point from it. 49 points on the road is something to be said. I think the team that can have the biggest statement is Westgate. They're sitting at 4, but that back end of the schedule is going to allow them an opportunity. If they can beat Lafayette Christian and they can beat St. Thomas More, who is number 1, Westgate's going to find their way to the top of the mountain before the playoffs. I think that's a team that's got the proving ground of proving grounds. Ryan Antoine and company, they can make a hellaciously big statement. The one team out of the top 10, and I picked them in week 1, and they almost got there for me. This team has continued to build and get better. They toe-to-toed Westgate last Friday night and lost by 4. Evangel. I think they lost 14-10 or something like that. It was a close game.
It was more than that. I think 32-14.
I don't know. I was listening to we were listening to the original, and they mentioned Westgate was ahead 14-10. I don't think. Anywho, point made. Evangel's a team to keep an eye on, especially now that they know what their future is going to bring. This is a team that's going to get better as the season goes on, but their future is absolutely golden with the big acquisition. Well, I say the big acquisition. I don't want to make it sound like a pro team here, but that's a team I like. And to VK's point back about Warren Easton, it's what you do on the field. Okay, I see it. 34-12. Or was that 34-12? Okay.
Yeah, 34.
I mean, there's no shame in losing. I didn't, I thought, we had heard the game when I thought it was closer to that. Okay, I stand corrected. Nobody's perfect.
Oh, good.
Exactly.
Right.
But the salvo is going to be fired by the Tigers of Westgate. We get to see them twice in a row against some big time opponents, and we're going to get a heck of an idea of what they're about. That defense is something to behold, but we're going to get a heck of an idea of what that Westgate team can bring when we get to the playoffs. I for one, think that they have a real opportunity here.
I don't have a problem with these rankings at all. I really don't. I kind of maybe question West Feliciana a little bit, but I wouldn't have them out. I think Shaw at 2-2 is at the correct spot of being at number 10. Some people are going to say, the wins against Rommel, who's 1-3, Bonomo, who's 1-3, and even, those two wins, they're going to be like, like they beat nobody. But then again, you look at a Kincaid school in Texas who has a winning record, and then St. Charles, who might be a 2A school, but who can, pretty much play anybody, hard. So I think that helps Shaw out. Evangel, I look at Tioga's making noise. Cecilia, heard about Cecilia, but Evangel, I would have thought Evangel in the others receiving votes a little bit higher. Losing to a Neville and a Westgate. You lost to two teams in the top 4. You lost to Neville in overtime, and you lost to Westgate. I thought they would have been a little higher. I wouldn't have had a problem with Evangel being ranked and Shaw was still out. I wouldn't have. But other than that, I don't have a problem with the 4A rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's go to 3A right quick. And here we go. University, E.D. White, St. James, Sterlington, Gina, Union Parish, Parkview Baptist, Madison Prep, John F. Kennedy, and St. Louis. So with VK again, any issues with this?
Well, to me, I don't have an issue at all. University has really stepped up and do what they're supposed to do. I'm when you look at the resume, like I think it's just even between University and E.D. White. E.D. White has some big ones on the schedule, and also University has some big ones on the schedule as well. So it's going to be interesting to see down the line, especially look at what they're planning going forward. And St. James also looking, where things going forward, But the biggest thing we're gonna see more than anything else, the interesting team on that is John F. Kennedy. And the reason why I say they're the most interesting team in the top 10, they got some players that's gonna be coming through there because we just had George Washington Carver had their season shut down. And some of the players that was on campus and has left, the LHSA has gave them immediate, reign to just, you're eligible. You're eligible. You can go anywhere else to play immediately. So what I've been hearing, Kennedy is bringing some of them in there. So I think that's going to help. It depends on what's going to happen with the chemistry. If the chemistry gets there quickly, Kennedy could be something to reckon with down the line. We'll see. But they're an interesting situation.
GP.
I would flip 1 and 2. University's only loss was to Rummel, and Rummel
Yeah.
hasn't really opened eyes, haven't they? They've struggled. Granted, they've had a litany of injuries, but they're young and they're really quite frankly, they're not very good. JB, you made an astute point about how limited this offense looks. That's University's only loss. Kyle Lacine and Edie White continue to build to crescendos. They're due to get to the Superdome. This might be the year that team finds their way into the dome. It's going to be tough, but they have the right mentality. They have the right brand of football that they play down there in the Bayou. That's a team. The Cardinals are going to be very, very tough. And VK on Kennedy, the thing that getting those Carver players that they've gotten is going to increase the depth. I think there's a little bit of an adjustment period for those Carver kids to get under Linares Alpage's system to get some, whatever reps they may get. Once that gets figured out, Kennedy can be extremely dangerous. I have a feeling, though, with the PowerPoints and whatnot, Kennedy might get sidetracked a little bit on the PowerPoints because look at the remaining schedule. They played Terrebonne, who's a middle of the road 6-5 team, 7-5 team. That's what Terrebonne is. Who do they play?
But they're winning. But
they are.
they're winning.
I'm not. Look, I'm a believer. You play what's in front of you. I get it, but I'm a believer in testing yourself against better opposition. And quite frankly, Terrebonne is not it. I think Kennedy has the skill set and the wherewithal to be very good, and they showed us signs of that at Terrebonne in week 2 in the game we did on the Hash It Out Show Game of the Week. You mentioned St. James. We mentioned them. We get to see them in week 6 in an interesting non-district game against Lake Charles College Prep because LCCP is very, very good, and that's going to be a great showdown in Vacherie, and we're looking so forward to bringing that game to you in week 6 for the Hash It Out Show Game of the Week. I think 3A provides a lot of theater, and there's some interesting subplots in this, but for me, I would rank Edie White 1, and I would put St. James 2 and University 3.
All right. I have Edie White 1, St. James 2, Sterlington 3, University 4. Why is that? Well, Edie White, undefeated. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
St. James, they lost to a top 10 team that's in 5A. East St. John by 1 point.
Yep.
1 point.
And gave up a 20-point lead in that game, too.
They did. Sterlington's only loss is to a top 10 team in 5A. That's West Monroe. They lost 14-3.
Yep.
So I have all them over University. University losses to Rummel, yeah, another 5A school, but guess what? If we're comparing Rummel to an East St. John and a who am I missing? West Monroe. Come on, I gotta go with those above it. I think John Kennedy losing to St. Amant. St. Amant's undefeated still. I would put John F. Kennedy up a little higher. I would. Parkview Baptist just beat Madison Prep. Just beat them.
Yep.
So I think Parkview Baptist, their only losses to University, I believe. So you can't put them above them. But I would put Edie White, St. James, Sterlington, and then University. That would be my order. Kennedy, I probably would put right at number 6 above Union Parish and drop the rest down. So that'd be my order. That's how I feel. But yeah, I would have Edie White number 1. And then look, others receiving votes, Amite. Look at Walsman. Walsman lost to Calvary Baptist by 14, 21-7. Yep. So we see the steps Coach Cahey and his team, the steps they're taking to get much better. So Walsman right now 3-1. Webster, Bogalusa, Lake Charles College Prep, Bunkie, Carroll, Pine, South Beauregard, 3A division, whatever they be in, select, not select. It's so competitive. Now, 2A, Calvary Baptist, St. Charles, Newman, Dunham, Oak Grove, Notre Dame, Episcopal, North Lake Christian, Manny, Lauraville. I'm gonna go first, and VK can go. I don't have a problem with this list at all. I don't have one problem with this at all. Calvary Baptist to me right now, and St. Charles Catholic, cream of the crop, and Newman. Like I said, and like George said, that spotlight is kind of gone. No distractions. Kind of, under the radar a little bit. I'm liking what I've seen. I had no problem with it. VK.
I agree with you. We're on the same page. I definitely agree with what you're saying, and I don't think there's no change in that top 10 at all for 2A. Not at all. It's very accurate.
GP.
When you look at this class 2A, look, I know we're not supposed to root for for people and whatnot, being that, and this is not being disobjective, but it would not hurt my feelings if Nelson Stewart got Newman into the Superdome, because I think they have the temerity and the type of team that can make that kind of run. The problem is those two big boys in the front of them, St. Charles Catholic, who we saw against Hurleys, and they dismantled them in the second half. Look what they did to LaSalle, another quality team. Close game in the first half. St. Charles has and I'm going to use the horse racing term, they have the big kick, big finishing kick. The Comets are extremely, extremely tough. Calvary Baptist, they've got the flair. They got the team that could score a lot, but that defense is underrated too. The Cavalier defense can play. Those guys it feels like a collision course of Calvary and St. Charles, but Newman's going to make an argument as we continue to progress, and they're going to see one of these two if the brackets are legible and whatnot. And Newman's going to see one of these two teams. They're going to have to find a way to get past. Who's their best chance? That's another interesting question, but one I'm not ready to answer. But Calvary, St. Charles, I'm good with those two, 1-2.
St. Charles has beaten Shaw, top 10 team. They've beaten Lusher, top 10 team. They've beaten Turling's Catholic, top 10 team.
Mm-hmm.
And they've beaten De La Salle. But my question is, what will we say if Calvary Baptist beats Westgate this Friday night? What will we say about them?
A lot. That solidifies them as number one. That will just end the discussion. As good as St. Charles has been, VK, if Cavalry beats Westgate, who I have big high regards for, brother, I mean, how do you go against that Cavalier team if they beat Westgate? How do you not keep them number one?
I would keep it. I would keep it number one too. I would keep it number one too if they beat Westgate Friday. I can't disagree with you at all. Calvary is a really good program. I made one mistake by going against Calvary years ago in the state championship, and they proved me wrong. And I respect that program to the fullest since it opened. So I really, really admire the program. I went against them only once. Not going against them this time. And I'll tell you one thing. If they play St. Charles in the state championship, it's going to be a hell of a game. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they can beat St. Charles, but I think it'll be a great matchup. Because the thing about St. Charles is this. They have no fear. They're not afraid of anybody. Not at all.
All right, we get to the last one before we get out of here. Class 1A, Ouachita Christian, Vermilion Catholic, Southern Lab, Homer, Kentwood, St. Martin's, Riverside, Haynesville, St. Mary's, Ascension Catholic. I ain't got a problem with it. I'm in agreement, but I see St. Martin's trying to rise on up. Harlem Berry trying to get back to that semifinals. What you say, VK?
I think I don't have a problem with that too much. I think when you look at this, I'm surprised Kentwood is not in the top three. I'm real surprised, but I think if they beat Amite on Friday, they're definitely going to crack the top three. St. Martin's, if they continue to thrive, and they got to get better and better. But I think the experience that they had from last season, especially what they had back, they have the capabilities to get to the dome. So but we'll see what happens. But the only thing I would rather see is Kentwood in the top 3, but we'll see what happens Friday against Amite.
GP.
Wichita Christian has a pretty good test this Friday night. 1A v 5A. They play Wichita. Win that game, they're undisputed. Top. I don't think they need to validate themselves, but that would just solidify their stature at number 1. But the team that I'm going to keep my eye on, and thanks to our good friend Mike Coppage, is Vermilion Catholic. Those dudes are silly good offensively. They are vicious good. The thing is, they don't have a lot of depth, but what they do bring is quality. It's not always quantity, it's quality. That's an interesting team with the dynamic. And I mentioned St. Martin's. What happened last week was an unfortunate situation where they couldn't play the game against, was it Abramson, I think?
Yes.
Right.
Abramson was undefeated.
It was an unfortunate situation, and yeah, Abe was undefeated. Still is, because the game wasn't played. I'm not sure about the Saints being that team that could crack the code to make it to New Orleans. I mean, they're the closest in distance, but I don't think they're good enough to beat, i.e., Wichita Christian or Vermilion Catholic. I don't think they're good enough as presently constructed. Harlan Berry can carry that team. I just think in the overall grand scheme of things, those two teams in the front are too good at this point. Now, obviously, things can change with 6 weeks to go in the regular season. But right now, I would imagine those two teams, Wichita Christian and Vermilion Catholic, Doug Dynasty University, by the way, are ticketed for a trip to the Caesars Superdome. But again, we got a lot of football left to go.
All right. Got a lot of ball left to go. We thank everybody for tuning in. We apologize for the technical difficulties that we had during the show. I know VK got something to say. I want to let him say it. Go ahead, VK. What you got to say? What you got to say, VK?
That figure went up.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking of some things, man. But the Hash It Out Show game of the week, should I announce it, my friend?
I was gonna say it. But go ahead. You go ahead. It's cool.
Okay. Hash It Out
Go
Show
ahead,
game of the week will be this Thursday instead of Friday. Will be this Thursday, Pan American Stadium. The Salmon Spartans will take on the McDonald 35 Ryan Eagles. That will go on at 6:20 for the pregame, 7 o'clock for the start. All three of us will be there on Thursday night calling the ball game. So
I do
3-way weave.
I do want to make a point counterpoint, a PSA, more of this public service announcement. And this goes out to the people that are planning on going to Haas Memphis Stadium Thursday night. Warren Easton takes the visit across the West Bank to take on the John Ehret Patriots. This PSA is coming from me not as a media guy. It's a guy that works in law enforcement and proud of it, 13 years strong. To those of you that plan on going to this game, and to those of you there have been, a lot of things said about this game in advance because of the notoriety that this game has gotten. If you plan on doing anything crazy, then I look forward to seeing you at 100 Dolhan Street. I look forward to seeing you there.
All right.
If you want to, I know it's extreme, but man, look.
All right.
Look, we say this every week. If you're going to a football game, go
to this game.
Go to the game.
Jeff, please
cut that noise out.
At home.
Exactly. Leave that stupidness at home. That's what I wanted to say. But I figured I'd throw a little sidetrack on that. And look, honestly, go enjoy the game, because a couple of weeks ago you couldn't tell me this was a premier game. John Ehret has won 2 games in a row. They seem to have found a little bit of a click on offense. What changes that game, and I know we're going to pick it tomorrow night, is their run defense is still putrid. It stinks. They can't stop the run. But the one win they do have, the one loss they have doesn't look good, Covington, because they have not won since week 1. That team has lost 3 in a row, Covington. Yeah. Greg Salter's team has struggled mightily after that week 1. But the Stallman 35 game, our game of the week, it's a competitive matchup. And I know some of you naysayers are going to say, well, it's not the premier matchup. It's not the knockdown doors and all that. And I've kind of had a few things to say. Look, coaching. It's going to be a good coaching.
Premier matchup, baby.
Exactly.
Top of the line.
There you go. But it's going to be a good, competitive football game with those two, and hopefully the weather conditions deal. I mean, we need a cold front to come through, so I mean that would be nice. Just lower the temperature about 15, 20 degrees and get that bite in the air. It's fall. It's no more summer. Summer's done. So cut that 90 stuff out and get that humidity out of here with the mosquitoes and all that stupidness. Let's get some cool weather. And it's gonna be a good game.
Remember last season, this game, the final score was 37-28.
Sal won it, right?
That
Or
was
was it
a
35?
35 got the win last year.
Okay.
So the game was at Salmon. So that was a very good ball game last season. And looks like it's going to be another good one again. Two very talented teams that are continuing to improve. 35's coming into a 1. Salmon coming in 2-2. It should be an interesting game on Thursday night. We will have that for you on the Hash It Out Show Game of the Week. Reason why we're giving it to you Thursday, I have an assignment that I have to do on Friday, which I will be actually calling game again for Cut City Sports, and I'll be doing Bell Chase and Franklinton over at Bell Chase High School this Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to bringing some good action.
Franklinton game. Yeah, you would do that Bell Chase Franklinton game. Yeah,
I know where this is going. I know where this is going. I do too. President of JB, president of fan club, sir.
Man, all I know, bro. Yeah. All I know, two of my good guys. I'm gonna be calling again. You know, you got Coach Nick Satafamaggio at Franklinton, and then you got Stephen Myers over
at Bell Chase.
Bell Chase. You know, two very good, and you know, I'm looking forward to do this game on Friday. You know, seeing those guys as well. And I know where you're going there, JB. I know where you're going there. You know what I'm saying?
Inside joke. Inside joke. Keep it there.
I know. Remember, I did win last week. Remember.
Wait, what?
Remember, I did.
Still never gave me his overall score from last week. But anyway,
I'm gonna give it to you tomorrow. I got you. I'm gonna make sure I get that done. Cool. Yes, sir.
All right, everybody. Thank y'all. We are back tomorrow night with Coach Harry Coleman, former safety / linebacker with LSU. He won a national championship with LSU in 2007. He is the head coach of the Peabody Warhorses. He's going to join us tomorrow night at 8:00. So please tune back in. I promise you, we won't have all these technical difficulties that we had today. I promise you that. We won't have it. I guarantee it. But for my guy, VK Jones, for my other guy, George Peppers, I'm JB Sports Guy. We see y'all tomorrow night. Thank y'all. Y'all take care.